Amidst the super yachts and race cars, we gather tonight for the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix, the Prix du Monaco. What is at stake tonight, you ask? Well, riches and glory. A total prize money of 1.5 million euros. The smallest arena of the season that packs the biggest punch. And this stage is a career-defining moment. And there is no rider that might arguably say to you that there was a bigger career-defining moment than in winning this very LGCT Grand Prix in 2024. And what a pleasure it is for us to open up with the defending champion from 2024 as the fantastic Ines Joly joins us live in the studio. Welcome back. I imagine it is a very happy place for you to return to. Ines, talk to me about coming back to Monaco, about being back here in this environment.
For sure, it's a place that I hold a precious place in my heart. I love it here. It's my third year on the row. And unfortunately, this year I will not compete in the Grand Prix. But I've been having a nice weekend with the other horses in the smaller classes. So I'm always happy to come here.
Take us back 12 months ago. You were here in this very ring. I want to talk about the jump off. We'll get there in a moment. But talk to me 12 months ago, where Ines Joly was, and 12 months later in 2025, how much did that victory do for your career?
I mean, of course, it was a life-changing moment, a key point in my career, because first of all, as a rider, it gives confidence and then helps to bring the other horses into a level that when we don't achieve this point where we win this confidence, well, we are always a bit uncertain. Can we do it? Can we not? And I mean, last year, just after Monaco, I was with 9 years old. And if I didn't win Monaco, I think I would have never put him jumping the first Grand Prix of Chantilly. And it gives me like this extra confidence to push for the other horses. And I felt that it was really like a boost for all the rest of the stable. So that was the first point, like to give this extra confidence. Then after, of course, for the investors, because I work, I don't own my horses of this level. So for the investors was really important, gave them to trust me and to trust our system and to come to try to put more horses with me. So this was really nice. I got to have more horses after that. And yeah, I mean, it was the best moment of my life, and I wish that I can come back to this point. But unfortunately, like I said, I have investors and they are sold doors.
You have many, many more years, and there's many, many more opportunities that we will see you back here. It was a very unique jump-off. It was only you and Max Kuhne. It's not very often that we only see two in a jump-off. You are a young, exciting, loads of talent rider. When you come up against a rider like Max Kuhne, very experienced, has won all these competitions, what are you saying to yourself as the underdog, as the junior rider, the young rider? What are you telling yourself when you come into that in-gate, when you are going head-to-head with someone like Max Kuhne?
Well, when I entered the jump-off, I was a bit like, okay, I have nothing to lose. Let's give it all. I knew that I would not be as fast as him, but I tried to turn short and to secure a clear round. And yes, what paid, because Max tried to go faster and touch this last fence. But yeah, I played the safe, but like try to give still a little bit of pressure to Max.
What does your horsepower look like now for the rest of the season? Where are you at now with the stables? What do you have available to you? Who is looking really good for the upcoming future?
Well, compared to last year, my 4 best horses of last year are sold. So I have really new horses that are looking good for the future, but they are just. I'm building them up at the moment, so need some time. They are still young, and yeah, last year I started the season the same way that I started this year with new horses, though. So it's like I'm a bit used to that.
You are the Queen of Monaco, and no matter what stables you find yourself in now, no one will ever take away that victory for you. It is wonderful to have you back here. It is wonderful to have you as a defending champion, and thank you for taking time and having a chat to us. We always love having you in the studio.
Thank you so much.
Inés Joly, the 2024 champion here in Monaco. What a career-defining moment. What an opportunity it was for this sensational young rider to stand up and be noticed by the world. What is the storyline going to be tonight come the end of the evening? Which rider is going to then be in Inés' shoes and later on tonight? That is the big question. We'll find out, of course, as the best 40 of the weekend all go head-to-head in tonight's LGCT Grand Prix of Monaco. Before we go any further, let's take a moment, let's reflect, and let's look back at what happened in the last stage, and let's reflect on the LGCT Grand Prix of Paris.
Leg 7 of the Longines Global Champions Tour brings us to the French capital, Paris. Welcome to the 11th edition of this annual showdown. Lily Keenan down to the opening fence meter very, very securely. Down to the Longines double, and the American on the home turn, faster, revs down to the final fence, and it's a stunning double clear. Lily Keenan crosses the line. Dennis Lynch, Mr. Boombastic is homebound, but Lily Keenan will remain on top and sees off another very strong combination. Gilles Thomas is away, having won Shanghai last year. Luna van Het Denhoff. Hermitage Cologne will go for broke down to the Longines double. Now the home turn, Gilles Thomas is ahead here. Gilles Thomas is going to win the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Paris this afternoon. It's brilliant.
It's amazing. Before I went in, I knew there was actually only one that was quick. So I had to make a decision, or I go for the win or I go for the podium and stay clear. But Niels Bruinsters, he convinced me, I think he's beatable. So I went for it, and yeah, he was jumping amazing. So that's why I also tried it today.
A second Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix win, a championship leader's armband, and a golden ticket to the LGCT Super Grand Prix in the bag for the golden boy Gilles Thomas. The season is shaping up to be his. Can the Belgian make this a legitimate championship season? He has the horsepower, he has the depth, he has the riding talent. I think we are looking at a serious championship contender for the end of the season. And we'll talk about championship points as well, by the way. There is such a comfortable cushion for Gilles Thomas at the top of the table that he could arguably not even compete tonight and still guarantee himself a lead by the time we get to London. But I'll have those details for you. And right here, Gilles Thomas in front of Simon de Lestre. What a lead that is. Dennis Lynch in third place, Scott Brash, winner in Shanghai, and a second LGCT Grand Prix victory as well later on. Andreas Schouw is here and is qualified. But look at the lead of Gilles Thomas at the top of the rankings at the end of Paris. If my math serves me correctly, that is over 40 points clear. That is an enormous cushion for Gilles Thomas going into the second half of the season. You saw Andreas Schouw there as well in the championship standings. A rider that is constantly delivering results, finds himself in 5th place at the moment, comes into today's LGCT Grand Prix in 21st place. And the start list, right after the break, we took some time to sit down with Andreas Schouw and his incredible horse Napoli to learn more about this partnership.
Here I'm standing with Napoli, 12-year-old gelding, which I have since end of 2023. I was so lucky to get him when I sold my former top horse, Aino, to a Norwegian family. There at this time we were was lucky to purchase him from the same family, and so we had a little bit more than a year together. Napoli is such a fantastic horse to work with. You know, he's the coolest in every way, in the ring, around. He's very chilled. At the same time, as a jumping horse, he's unbelievable. He's, I believe, one of the absolute most scopy horses on the circuit here. So it makes my job a lot easier. Our first show together was 5-star, where he jumped the Grand Prix already on the first show. So it shows a little bit about his his character that he on the first show goes in and perform for me. Since then, okay, last year was his first year on the 5-star circuit, so we had, you know, a lot of Grand Prix in a row with one down where we needed to get to know each other for sure, and he needed to adapt to the big level. But already this year he jumped 4 and was 3 times clear, so everything coming very good along. He's an unbelievable horse to work with in every way. You know, at home he's hacked a lot, and everyone could basically ride him. But of course, my main people is always handling him. But he's an easy horse in every way. But even though he's calm and so, he's a lot of blood and a lot of nerve. So yeah, we need to keep him as relaxed as possible, and then normally he performs for us. And of course, when you have, you know, these Grand Prix horses is so rare to find, and when you get a horse like him, a little bit old already, and then it's a great match, it's always fantastic. Normally we bring them up from younger. This time we get one that was a bit older, and okay, you know, when you can go into 5-star Grand Prix one time after the other, and he just performs for you, of course it's something special. And of course, it makes it easier when a horse is like this to work with, and standing here cool with audience on, and you can't surprise him. And it gives you a calmness as a rider, and it makes you trust him 100%. You know, as I said before, they can't build anything that would scare me, because he is the coolest horse to bring into any track. This circuit, Global Champions Tour, is big jumping all season long, so you need special horses that don't find it tough. And he's one of these horses that doesn't find it tough. It sounds maybe silly, but he really, it doesn't take much effort for him to jump a Grand Prix like this weekend, I believe. And at the same time, he took me to one championship and now another one, so of course that makes horses special for you. We want to stay on this tour, you know, it's the best, the whole global tour is the top of our sport, and again, I need a horse like this to jump, so we're gonna continue and do our best. My horse can jump any course they put up, and I hope it's the same for this week, even though it's a tiny ring. I brought him here last year where he was 5th in the Grand Prix, and I hope this year he's gonna be ready. We have another big show coming up, so I really hope that he's in top shape for this weekend.
An incredible horse and an even better pairing. Andreas Schouw, 5th currently on the LGCT overall rankings. He'll be 21st to go right after the break today. Can Andreas Schouw finally be the man that comes up into the studio later on tonight with that winner's share of 1.5 million euros? In case you think that was a mistake or that was a typo, let me make this very clear for you. Tonight here in Monaco, tonight here on this stage of the Longines Global Champions Tour, here tonight at the Grand Prix du Prix de Monaco, the total prize money is 1.5 million euros that will be split up. What a money pot. What a cash grab. What a career-defining, I will say it again, moment this is going to be for one of these 40 riders that find themselves here in the Porte Cool in 2025. The big question now is who to keep an eye on, who to focus on, who are arguably defending champions, or are there LGCT Grand Prix winning horses in the start list? Let's welcome Rosie Turner to the show and get her to give us some of that information. Rosie, talk to me about the start list. Who looks exciting, who should we be keeping an eye on, and who really stands out?
Well, I tell you what, Mark, it might feel like a party atmosphere down here, but it is really, really tense. The crowd are loving it, but the riders look incredibly tense because, as you said, it is the biggest prize money of the stages this season. If we're looking at the start list, obviously, we've got some amazing, amazing riders. We've got 6 of the top 10 here tonight, including 4 previous winners of the LGCT Grand Prix of Monaco, including Julien Epaillard with his horse Donatello, who won here in 2023, Max Kuhner in 2022, Michael van der Vleuten and Emmanuel as well. All have won here. They know what it takes to win here. Simon Delesche comes here with Cayman Jolly Jumper, one of his best horses. If we flip over the page, obviously Michael van der Vleuten as well, actually going very early on, which I think is a bit of a surprise with O'Bailey, who jumped wonderfully yesterday in the other 5-star class. Edwina Tops-Alexander goes very early on as well in the class. If we have a look, Harry Smulders is here with his best horse, Monaco. Katarina Romberg brings in Colestus, who has been in flying form, but this is his first LGCT Grand Prix of the season and ever, actually. So let's see how he fares in this incredible arena. Andrea Scow brings in Napoli, who we've just heard from, a horse in such good form who's got the most amazing scope. And as Andrea said, he wants this Grand Prix to be big because he knows his horse can jump this Grand Prix. Katarina Eckermann in fantastic form. We can almost always rely on Katrin Eckermann to go well. Jerome Guéry brings in Killer Queen as well. Gilles Thomas, someone we've spoken about so much, brings in Kalista, his 9-year-old, who is 4th in Saint-Tropez on his debut. That is extraordinary for a 9-year-old. And if we come to the end of the list, we've got Max Kuhner, who came 2nd here last year. It was such a close contest last year, just 2 in the jump-off, and he just had that one down and didn't quite manage to win it, but he did win back in 2022. Emmanuel Gudiano, who won this in 2016. Alexa Ferrer, someone who's been in fantastic form as well. Zasha, who jumped double clear in the GCL just a couple of days ago. And lastly, the biggest qualifier of the GCL was Nadja Peter-Steiner. Great qualifying. We saw her horse, who hasn't been amazing all season, but really showed off her talent in the qualifying class. But of course, someone has to come first into this arena. Someone has to take on being the pathfinder, which is always such a difficult job. And the man that is taking on that job tonight is our 41st rider. Technically, he didn't actually qualify straight away, but with our new rule, if someone drops out, which Jean Saint-Dran did, then the 41st rider gets to come in. And that is the task of Oliver Lazarus. I caught up with him a little earlier on. Rider in the Pathfinder. How do you find it when you're the first in?
Well, to be honest, it's a bit of a double sort of bladed sword. You know, of course, you want to be later on in the class because you see the time, you can see the line, especially if there's a few question marks in the course. So we have to, you get an idea of what everyone else is doing. The plus side of it is that I get to stick to my plan. I'm not getting upset or confused or worried about what everyone else does. Stick to my plan, execute it, and let's see what happens.
You've jumped this Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix before in Monaco. Just how difficult is it?
It's hectic. It is really, because it's just so in your face, you know. So, it's like a rapid. You've got if you entry well in, generally things go pretty well. But the problem is when you lose a little bit of rhythm somewhere, it affects the whole course. I thoroughly enjoyed. Up for the challenge. I haven't been riding well lately, but my horse is amazing, so I trust him, and we're going to give it our best.
Your horse hasn't jumped here yet. How does he cope in this arena?
He's sort of green still on this level. I keep all my horses a little green, but he's got a big match temperament. He's just the man. He believes in himself. It's just up to me if I can stay with him and try to execute the plan and give him as best ride as I can.
Is there a reason you keep them green?
I do. I don't mind. If they're 6 or 7, if they don't ride their age groups, for me it's not important. It's more long-term. I'm trying to build them up for the sport. And I think that's probably the thing I'm most proud about our little team. We have a small number of horses, but we manage to always get ourselves in position.
What are you expecting from the course designer tonight? What he might build for you?
Just from past experience over the last 2 years, he always builds it maxed out. It feels like a little championship. And with the money on offer, why wouldn't he? So I'm expecting 2 or 3 clears, something proper. It's going to be intimidating, but that's what we want.
We'll wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Oliver Lazarus will be number 1 to go on Conbothago PS, the 11-year-old gelding, first out the gates for the South African. It is always a very difficult position to find yourself in. You have not had the opportunity of watching other riders try and negotiate the track, so you almost go into it quite blind, quite cold. Someone has to be number 1. I'm afraid tonight that is Oliver Lazarus, but it surely does not stop you from finding success, that is for sure. In fact, if I recall, was Gilles Thomas in Shanghai in 2024, not the first out the gate? I do wonder if I'm correct in thinking that that was the case. First to go, I have no doubt, and first on the jump off as well, and he won it all. So don't think that the dreaded number 1 is always a negative thing. Let's talk about previous winners here in Monaco over years gone by. We spoke about Ines Joly, the former champion in 2024, joining us in the studio a little bit earlier on. And if you date further back, Julien Epaillard, what a season he had in 2023, winning multiple Longines Global Champion Tour Grand Prix. Max Kuhner, an LGCT overall champion last year. He won back in 2022. What about Michael van der Vleuten back in 2019? Alberto Zorzi dating back to 2017. Scott Brash all the way back to 2015. He's already won 2 LGCT Grand Prix this year as well. And Richard Spooner, 3-time winner here in Monaco. He also is somewhat of a legend in these parts because of former success here in Monaco. Let's go into that ring then. As you saw from Rosie a little bit earlier on, incredibly busy. All the riders performing the course walk, trying to measure their strides, making sure that they know exactly what is necessary of them. Let's go into that ring and get some rider reaction. Rosie, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I've got Robert Murphy alongside of me now, who is not riding this evening. A lot of these riders are walking this course multiple times, I guess for a good reason. How tough is this tonight?
Yeah, it's really tough. It's big, and you know, the tight ring makes things extra difficult. Yeah.
You said to me that the line to the triple was probably the toughest line. Why is that?
Yeah, in my opinion, it is. It comes very quick from a delicate plank. It's an awkward turn, and the oxer coming out makes it very difficult. You know, the horses have to have a lot of blood and power to jump out well.
Do you think it's going to be one of those courses that we see problems everywhere or just in one area?
Yeah, I'd say so. You know, with Juliano's course, it tends to be quite a lot of mistakes everywhere, you know, which I think is a good thing for horse and riders. You know, to put focus on the course just on one area is a bit one-dimensional, I think.
How different is it for you as well to be walking a course that actually you don't have to jump tonight? Is it almost a relief, or you're actually quite jealous that you're not going to be jumping this?
Yeah, I'm jealous. You know, I think it's the richest global of the year, so you know, this was one I was really aiming for when I knew I was jumping the global. So yeah, I'm quite gutted not to jump, but okay, it's nice to experience it from.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to have a look at number 6 though. If we go and have a look at it, Global Champions Oxer. It's incredibly wide, this Oxer, and it's going straight into the stands. And what a lot of people don't see, I guess, is we've got the bars, we've got the restaurants, we've got the crowd. Does that make a difference here?
I think more towards the beginning of the week it'll probably play more of a factor. I think the horses now have settled into the arena and the atmosphere more, so in my opinion this fence will jump quite good.
Okay. What about the fence we've got? So we've got the triple jump. This fence here, the double, we're looking at it the wrong way around at this point, but it's a very light fence. Does that make a difference?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you know, it's less bold for the horses to back off, so we as riders have to be aware of that and be more delicate, especially like number 11 here towards the end of the course. Also white poles going into a white background is very difficult.
Well, let's go and have a look at number 11 as well, because what people may not see on the TV is actually this is a lot skinnier as well. How much more difficult is that, or is it more of a rider frightener to try and keep you straight?
Yeah, it's a lot to do with how bold the jumps are. You know, narrower fences, they don't back the horse off as much, you know, as well. You see the VIP in the background is all white and the top rail being white. It's difficult for the rider to see properly as well as the horse, you know.
It's quite an atmosphere in here tonight. Can you describe it as a rider yourself, what it's like to be in this atmosphere?
Yeah, it's very intense. You know, the pressure is really on with so much money at stake as well. You know, we're all trying to do our best. So.
Who are you rooting for the most?
Harry Charles.
There he goes. He's already given his favourite opinion. Robert, we'll let you go. Thank you so much. Mark, I think it's going to be an incredibly tough course tonight. As Robert said, there's going to be faults everywhere that we can see. Riders are walking this course multiple times. There's a lot at stake tonight.
It certainly is. Thank you very much, Robert Murphy. Thank you very much to Rosie Turner as well. How much at stake is there tonight? Well, there's 1.5 million reasons as to why you need to walk those lines multiple times. Make sure that absolutely every single stride is accounted for, that you know exactly where that takeoff point needs to be, where the landing is going to be, where you are getting into combinations. That triple that's just behind us there alongside that bench, in fact, same position that triple was in 2024 as well. The riders are expecting some of these changes. They're expecting some similarities. What then is Uliano Vizzani going to do here tonight to try and really challenge those best riders in the world? Because with so much at stake, he knows exactly how to weave his magic wand and make sure that he is able to put together the best available LGCT Grand Prix track for us here in Monaco tonight. Let's talk about what's coming up. Again, we know that Monaco is here this weekend, but it is a jam-packed summer for the Longines Global Champions Tour. It is a jam-packed season for 2025, because from Monaco, we have a couple of weeks to catch our breath, but there are a couple of shows that come quickly straight thereafter. We head back to London. without a shadow of a doubt, one of the most popular stages on the calendar every single year for energy, for people, for character as well. That London show is one of the best. Take the dates down there from the 8th to 10th of August. And then we start making our way through the Netherlands and through to Germany. We start there in Valkenswaard at the Longines Tops International Arena. We then move over to Riesenbeck. Two massive grass rings that are going to make a completely different challenge to what you're going to see here and what you've been seeing over the last couple of stages in Cannes, in Saint-Tropez. All of a sudden, we start re-entering those massive grass rings that we saw in Mexico City. That factor starts to return as we head into the month of August. If you want to chat to the riders, that is a pretty cool thing to do. And I'm going to give you a little bit of information later on as to how you can do that. But I believe Rosie has another rider for us to get some more reaction before we wrap up and get started here tonight. Rosie, I believe you got a rider for us. Let's get some thoughts then, shall we?
Mark, you know what? I actually don't have a rider for you, I'm afraid. But they've all been walking the course and looking very, very focused. So I was very wary not to go too near everyone tonight. But what I wanted to show you actually is here at the end of the course, when the riders have finished walking it, there is a sheet of paper which just shows the course once again. And it just gives you them an idea of where the course is. They can begin to visualize it. Everyone's been taking a picture of this piece of paper to make sure that they're getting the best view. And also a lot of them who are going later, they're not going to be jumping for at least another hour. They might just want to have a refresh of that course. So this is here for that. Of course, we've got the jump off tonight as well. So the riders are not only having to walk this first course, but they're also having to walk the jump off course as well. And actually, interestingly, quite a few riders decide not to walk the jump off course. We're just making sure we're out of the way of everyone. Let's come over here and make sure we're not in anyone's line. But a lot of riders decide not to walk the jump off course just because a little bit of superstition, a little bit of they don't want to confuse their brains. It is big tonight. The atmosphere is electric down here, Mark.
Thank you very much, Rosie. I love having you. It doesn't have to be riders. We'll take you every day of the week, Rosie Turner. Thank you for your time tonight. Go on and get settled into their warm-up arena. We get loads of reaction from her. Speaking of, I've just seen Peter de Vos as well, by the way, inside the course now. There he is, in fact, his head just popping up over that fence as the Belgian continues to walk this. So much so, the point that Rosie made, I've seen some riders in the in-gate as well. Having finished their course walk, I've seen them pause at the in-gate and still continue to try and just make calculations. That is how big tonight is, and that is how important tonight is. We are officially ready to go. We are live in 2025 with the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix here in Monaco. Ladies and gentlemen, 1.5 million euros up for grabs. The LGCT Grand Prix is next.
It is a serene Saturday evening here, early July in Monaco, but that does not belie the gravity and magnitude of tonight's Grand Prix. Delighted to welcome you to the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix du Prince de Monaco. This is the 19th edition. The inaugural edition was back in 2006. Of the 18 former editions, 11 different nations have won here previously, and 3 nations have been the most successful nations with 3 wins apiece. The USA, Ireland and France. And the best combination in the history in an incredible 3 wins for the USA's Richard Spooner and Cristallo. They won here in 2008, 2009, the back-to-back wins, and again in 2013. This Grand Prix is a massive occasion because Leg 8 of the Longines Global Champions Tour has its own prestige, and a 1.5 million euro prize purse is up for grabs this evening. 40 combinations come forward and 18 nations represented. 9 nations have multiple starters this evening in this most prestigious Grand Prix. Belgium fielding 7. The Netherlands, France and Italy have 4 each. Austria and Germany. Austria have never won this, actually. That is anomalous. They have 3 each. And then a pair for the USA, Denmark and Switzerland. And 9 nations have 1. The South Africans, Norway, Australia Canada, Brazil, Sweden, Mexico, Ireland and Great Britain are the lone wolves. And the previous winners, Ines Joly, had a brilliant win here last year, and Juliette Paillard has got the same horse, Donatello Dorge, to come this evening. Max Kuhner again lines up this year, the winner now 3 years ago. And Micah van der Vleuten-'s got a different horse this evening, O'Bailey van Het Brauvershof NOP. He won here back in 2019 with Beauville Z NOP, who won actually last night's big class. The royal family in attendance here in Monaco, and it is a wonderful occasion. Great to have your company. My name is Ed Holloway, and it is a pleasure to be here in Porte-Cour for this wonderful Grand Prix. After 7 legs, Gilles Thomas has got an extraordinary lead. He leads by 42 points clear of Simon de Lestre. He cannot be caught at leg 8, whatever happens. And Dennis Lynch, he was third in Paris in the Grand Prix of Mr. Boombastic. He is third. But there's certainly a lot of mileage left in this season. We're at the halfway point. Outdoor side who won the very first leg in Doha. That was with Bon Ami. But, well, what a big occasion. And the man with the enormous task of the course design, it is Uliano Vezzani. The master craftsman from Italy has set up another fascinating course. It is big. That is the only word to describe it. They'll start up over the Seahorses Ox. Fence 1 is 150 square on the perimeter. They'll run little left-handed bow down to an enormous 160 tall vertical max height, utilised as early as fence 2, the purple leaves. They then turn left-handed another 160 tall vertical. The wall looks ominous, fence 3. And then it will be 7 strides down to this big oxer. It's skinny, it's 155 by 160, and then 3 strides down to the Waves of Liverpool, 160 tall, fence 5. Sharp right-hander, this is back to the GC Oxer, 155 by 160 as 6. And then it is going to be 8 strides down to the big Horses Plank. Again, max height 160, fence number 7 is again fearsome. The Longines Treble is mid-course 8A, B and C, 155 in. It's then 8 meters and 10 to another very big Oxer, 155 by 168B. Again, right up on the flank. And then it's 2 strides, 11 meters and 10. It wheels down to 8C. The same dimensions out. It's another big Oxer, 155 by 160. There's a little chance for a gasp of breath as they come to the Fiat vertical. This is a 9. Again, it's a plank, 160 tall, the second plank on the course. They then turn left-handed into the Longines Global Champions Oxer. That's enormous at 10. And right-handed on 6 strides down to another 160 tall vertical. Le Casino awaits at 11. They'll then turn sharp right-handed into the second combination. 12A and B is the orange-white combination. 8 meters and 20, so quite a forward 1 stride down through the double. 155, 160 entering. And it is 160 tall. It's a massive penultimate vertical on the track of Uliano Vezzani. And then 5 strides down to the final fence. That is the Violet Spirals. It's a Liverpool over water. 155 by 165. What a course. The 160 verticals just come early at 2, and then they do not relent. This Italian, what an incredible career Uliano Vezzani has sculpted. He used to ride for Luciano Pavarotti as a former show jumper himself. And our crowd settled down because it will be a marvellous evening. The 19th edition of the Grand Prix here, the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix du Prince de Monaco. Everybody certainly focused. It's a throbbing crowd in terms of quantity, but there's a serious vibe because €1.5 million is an enormous prize purse. And these are the 40 combinations that come forward from 18 nations. Geoffrey Puck at 7, he was 5th in the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix Leg 1 in Doha. And Micah van der Vleuten, the champion in 2019, starts at 3. Juliette Paillard won here in 2023 with Donatello Dorge. And Emmanuel Camilli won Leg 2 in Mexico City, the Grand Prix with Chaco's Girl Star. Max Weisshaupt's got a new very good horse, Zucchero HV. They were 5th in the Eiffel Challenge in Paris last leg. Katarina Romberg's got Cleistus Cambridge. That horse is in very good form. And Andreas Sko, he was 5th in this class last year with that horse, Napoli Van Het Medarastov, middle of the pack. I like Zoe Conte's chance of H5 Chacophonie. They were 7th in Cannes, and Jérôme Guéry was 5th in the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix in Ramatois-Saint-Tropez with that horse, Killer Queen. Harry Charles got a very handy late draw. They won the Grand Prix with us in London, Royal Chelsea Hospital last year. And the best to qualify from GCO round 2. They won that individual competition. Nadia Pedesteiner will be the last to go with Nice Van to Sorgfleet. We stand for the national anthem of the Principality of Monaco, our superb host nation here at Porte de Cule.
Global Champions Tour Grand Prix du Prince.
We are set up. Henry von Eckermann takes his seat once again, the world number 3. He'll ride Iliana later. He'll come after the halfway point at 26, so he can watch those that enter the first half of the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix du Prince de Monaco. It's superb to have your company. This will be a dramatic couple of hours of world-class horse sports. The 18 former editions, 11 different nations have won here previously, and the 3 nations that have been the most successful. The USA, courtesy of those 3 wins for Richard Spooner and Cristallo. Ireland have won 3 times, and France also. Kevin Stowe 2012, Julien Poignard 2023, and last year the defending champion, Ines Joly. That was her first 5-star Grand Prix win with Ambassador Z. And of the 18 nations to come this evening, there are 9 with just 1 apiece, and South Africa, one of those 9 nations, and Oliver Lazarus carries the Springboks into battle this evening. They've never won this Grand Prix as a nation. Oliver, though, was very well placed here in 2023. He was 7th with Butterfly NML. But tonight his ride is Con Balfalgo PS number 1 of the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix du Prince de Monaco. Oliver makes a very solid start. He's a beautiful stride into the wall, 162, down then to this little rate of distance, 3 strides. Oxford to Liverpool. This their 4th season together, their 3rd 5-star Grand Prix this year alone. They jump with us in the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix in Doha for 12th position behind Abdul Said. This is a very strong start. He soars out over the plank at 7. Down then into the teeth of Ulan of Etani's course, the Longines treble. The South African emerges unscathed. The second plank, the fired plank. Again, Con Balfalgo is really operating. Oliver Lazarus sees a gorgeous stride down to the Longines Global Champions to Roxa. Oh, the mistake comes. Feels unjustified. It was an immaculate round. The vertical, the Casino 162 all at 11 is the lone blemish. The last goes as well. Just shows us the demand of the course, because that was perfectly ridden, to my estimation.
Not to be for Oliver Lazarus, 2 fences down for him and Con Bothago, but that was a very impressive round from the South African. Now we move on to Johann Sebastian Gulliksen, already on an LGCT Grand Prix podium. Can 2025 in Monaco he see that happen again? We'll wait and see. If you want to join us for what's going to happen throughout the rest of the night, sign up for the GCTV Live Pass. Come and join us for tonight's Grand Prix. Gulliksen, Michael van der Vleuten, Edwina Topt-Alexander and Olivia Philipparts all next live in Monaco. Sign up and come and join us.